sunlight. Wait, hold on.
Game week 25 started with a bang on a Friday night, all chills and stuff, and of course ended with pure madness at Anfield. Without further ado, we are here again to sit down, cook, and analyze Game Week 25. This is the Game Week 25 review. Welcome back to all about Arsenal, and of course, we have one of our OGs on the channel, the Achike himself. How are you doing, bro?
I'm very good, thank you. Very good, thank you. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm all right. You know, I see while I cry at the top of the table, it's like rain to everyone. You know, I was basically saddened with what happened this evening. I'm going to talk more about it. But let's talk about you. I see you have been on so much smiles in recent weeks. What's going on? Is it the carriage
No,
effect?
I'm just a smiley guy. You know, it's a surprisingly warm winter, February here in
Mhm.
Calgary. You know, the temperature was like 18 degrees on Thursday when it should be minus 18. You know,
Oh,
so I'm just a happy person. Just a
yeah.
happy.
So, and how is the shoveling snow business going?
No snow. That's the point. The temperature has been
Oh,
fantastic. It's been 18 degrees. All the snow has melted. It's
oh,
crazy,
awesome,
man.
awesome, awesome,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
because I
know,
know
and the sun is shining.
a couple of weeks back, I know you guys were really big talking about how cold it was out there and all that.
Yeah, no. So that was the East Coast. We are usually the really cold ones, but the world is upside down this year. Like normally, February,
Yeah.
first week of February can get to like minus 20, minus 30 in Calgary. But it
Wow.
was getting to that in Toronto on the East Coast, and we are having 18 degrees temperature. I love it. I
Okay,
love it.
that's
I
good.
don't, I don't even know what
That's
much has been happening in the world of football. You tell me what has been happening.
okay. I'm worried. You see your manager. That was
No, he
happening.
left in January. Unfortunately he left in January. But you
Okay,
know,
so I
we
guess
miss
you're not
him.
living under a rock. You know, I saw a message where Onana was talking about how he was looking forward to coming back to help Man U win the title next season. And I'm like, why did you guys let this guy go? This guy was giving us great memories, bro. Come on.
Oh, sorry, I had some PTSD for a second. Oh, sorry. You said what? Onana. Onana was a great servant. He did his best. Won trophies. You know, won a trophy. You know, he did his best. But I
Oh,
think we've moved on. We've moved on.
yeah, I agree. I agree. Okay, so as always, welcome again to the Game Week 25 review show. We're expecting Rory to join us, but till then we'll just cook before he comes around. So if you start with the Arsenal match review, and of course we'll go to our title rivals to see how they panned out this night and the rest of the week. We'll look at the best of the rest, you know. We'll look at the surprise of the week, our injury and suspension watch, our Premier League table update, and of course our predictions. So I have a question for you. Looking at this agenda, do you think there's anything else we need to add? Or does this cover the entire
Um,
game week well?
no. I think all is in odd order because everything is actually injuries and suspensions were some major ones this weekend. So yeah, that's the important thing. We're gonna get when we get there.
Okay. Awesome, awesome. And for the guys in the chat, please, if you have any suggestions on how we can improve this show, please, we'd love to hear it. Okay, so without further ado, let's start with the Arsenal match review, and we'll go with what happened against Sunderland. You know, this was a game that was going to come thick and fast, bearing in mind that Arsenal is currently competing on all four fronts, and doing that sees them play in several competitions, no rotations and stuff. And the first basically eyebrow raising moment was seen with Gyökeres on the bench. So speaking from a neutral perspective, what were your thoughts on Gabriel Jesus starting ahead of Gyökeres in this game?
I mean, result notwithstanding,
Mm-hmm.
that was the right call, and because I've said it, and from early on, Jesus. I think your hierarchy of forwards is Havertz, Jesus, Gyökeres, based on
Okay.
skill set. Now, in games like this, where you expect the team to have a bit of a low block or to be a bit more tighter and defensively, you need the lock pickers, and Jesus and Havertz are better lock pickers. You know, Gyökeres showed what he brings when a game is now stretched, or well, relatively stretched, counter attack, direct running into channels. That's what he does best. So I think when you got him, I thought he was actually being got for big games where it would be end to end
Mm-hmm.
and his skill set would come across more. Now Havertz physically, I mean, there's no argument. Havertz is a much better player. Havertz is a better finisher, but
Mm-hmm.
Gyökeres is a shot taker and is also a channel runner. Where
Yeah.
in games that it's tighter, That's not what you need. It's the open games you need, which is why it's working well. Because I mean, Sunderland, you guys were 1-0 up, I think, when he came on,
Yes.
and a goal up. Sunderland are nothing. I mean, you lose 1-0 or you need to lose 2-0. It's the same thing for them. Points are dropped. They had to go for it, and it was a great time to bring him on. I think Arteta is managing it really well.
Awesome, awesome. You know, but looking at then again going into this game, there are many more injuries to contend with. There was no Saka, and even though Odegaard came on as a sub against Leeds, he was absent for the game against Chelsea. Before we found out after the game that he also suffered under injury. But there was a tweet I saw where they said our number 8 has played the Gyökeres for 6 months and has not given me any assists. Well, Havertz has played the team for a couple of games and you're giving him 3 assists. What's your take on that agenda?
So, I mean, it's one of those things where, skill sets differ and some players work really well with each other and all that. I don't know if you remember the days when Ramsey was playing, when Ozil was playing, Ramsey looked world class, like hyper world class. They had an understanding, the little flicks and tricks together and all that, So Arteta is a very regimented coach and manager, and Arsenal play a certain way. And when Odegaard is playing, Saka is playing, there's a certain dynamic that is created in the team. Remember the Odegaard, Saka, Ben White overlapping. Now
Yeah,
it's
that
even changing.
triangle.
Timber is not even that much of an overlapper. He's more of an underlapper. He actually cuts in.
Yeah.
Now it's interesting because Timber cutting in with a forward like Gyökeres, that means your winger has to stay wider.
Yes.
And so there might be more crosses into the box or more balls driven across the box, which might suit Gyökeres better. So it's almost as if when your best players are playing, it doesn't suit Gyökeres' skill set. And also, he's not on the same skill level as they are.
Yeah.
There's some balls, I know, Odegaard might be more reluctant to pass to Gyökeres. Rice might be a bit more reluctant to pass to him. Not saying he's a bad player, but you know your player's skill sets. Like, when a player's on the run, yeah, you give him some balls. But if it's in balls in a tight channel, you're not sure the first control might be as quality as you'd want it and all that.
Yeah.
So it's an agenda that has
especially if
some
you're trying
legs.
to like do a 1-2 or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's an agenda that has some legs, but it's not. It has legs more in style of play kind of thing. And if Odegaard, when he's back starting most games, it might be a situation where now he's been out and seen how it works with habits, but also game state is different. Is I mean, it's an agenda that has some legs, but like all agendas, it's just there. It's more there for the comments.
Awesome. Now let's talk Iberichi Eze for a little bit. With Odegaard out, we're expecting that he'll be the one up in the attacking midfield role, but that went to Kai Havertz. It seemed like he had not fully settled in at the squad. What's your take on his performances so far? And do you think he should be starting more games?
Unless he's on the left, which Trossard is making his own, Martinelli has great cameos. Eze is not going to start, right? Because Odegaard, Rice, and Zubimendi are your starting midfield 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's just put that out of the way. Whether he should start more games or not, people should understand that it's a squad game. And what Arteta is doing, he's building Arsenal to be like a Man City 2.0. In the squad game, kind of, you have good players for every position. It's quality all around the pitch. And if you think about it like that, this is no different to 80% of the players Pep Guardiola buys into his system. They take a while to gel. Now, he's had some great appearances. I mean, his hat-trick against Spurs, all I can say is that it was Spurs. So too much shouldn't be read into that. I'm not trying to too much should not be read into that. It was Spurs. That was that was when they were having their worst form. I mean, the week before they had 0.04 XG against Chelsea, and then played Arsenal and had 0.0 something. It's one of those things where so it's all a matter of Arteta is on top of the table. So he's not doing much. He can't be doing much wrong.
Yeah.
And if Eze is not playing, then it's for the betterment of the team that he's not there yet. And it takes time. It takes time. We know as tactically focused Arteta is. So maybe Eze just hasn't quite gotten, because even when he was going there, I was like, something has got to give, because he's not going there as a free-flowing 10, because you already have Odegaard. And Arteta's teams are not free-flowing teams per se. They're very structured. They're structured team. Yeah. I don't like to use the word rigid, because rigid has a negative connotation. I'd rather use their structured teams. So something was always going to give. And Arteta is the manager, so Eze is definitely going to have to give more. It's just simple. I don't think there's anything to be worried about. There are plenty games. Arsenal are in all 4 competitions. There are lots of games to be played.
Awesome, awesome. Now, so let's talk Sunderland for a bit before we leave this slide. Prior to this game week, they were third in the form table for home games. Only Arsenal and Man City had just won more games than them at home. Arsenal was on 29, Man City was on 29, and Sunderland was on 26. So when Man U won the game, they now went above Sunderland. But in the away side, Sunderland have been very terrible. They were 17th, just above Leeds, Burnley, and Wolves. Looking at their away form this campaign, lost 7 games already, drawn 4 and won 2, which was a shocking win against Chelsea in Stamford Bridge. Do you think that their home form is more than enough to sustain them in the league, or do you think they can do more to build their away form better?
No, I mean, and it's the old age thing. If you're coming up from the Championship or getting promoted to any league, try and get as many points at home as possible. That's the one consistent thing you have. You're coming into a new league. Sunderland have not been around for what? How many years? 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years,
thereabouts,
12 years, 12. So you've not been to 19. Apart from the 2 that came up with you, right? So that's the 3 of you. There's 17 teams left. You've not been to 17 of these stadiums before.
Yeah.
And on paper, before a ball was kicked, these are 17 teams that are supposedly better than you. If we count the fact that they came up through the playoffs, then it's all other 19 teams who were better than you last year.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So focus on getting your points at home, and they're doing more than enough to stay in the league. And they're the only unbeaten team at home in the league, in the whole league. I think Arsenal were with them, but they lost woefully a few weeks ago, I think. I know they lost the game.
You just had to go there. You just had to.
No, I don't. I can't remember. I know they lost recently. Anyway, Sunderland are the only team unbeaten at home, and that's enough to keep them up, and they can build from that.
Awesome.
And remember, they've lost players to AFCON. They lost a lot of players, and they're still
that period. They were really hit by the AFCON. That was really true. Okay.
This game was a 2-0 or 3-0 game written all over it. Top of the table, going to recently promoted team that's doing okay. But it's a way, a recently promoted team that's doing okay is coming to the top of the table team in February. That's a 2-0, 3-0 victory standard.
Yeah, fair enough. So last question here. Despite the brace from Gyökeres, Arsenal doesn't still have any player that's reached double figures in terms of goals in the Premier League. I think Gyökeres is on 8, Mendy is on 6, own goal, our main guy, is on 5. And some other players like Trossard 5, Saka 4, Eze 4. What's your take on the spread of the goals for the Arsenal players in the Premier League? Is it better to have that spread, or have like a Haaland that scores like 20, while the next person is like 3 or 4?
I said this last year. I've said it for years. I think having one striker that scores all these goals, it's an overrated thing. It's great to have it, but I think it's more for teams that are fighting relegation, because then you need to have a sure source of goals. But when as a team you're scoring so many, for example, now the season before Man City got Haaland, right?
Mm-hmm.
He scored more goals as a team than the year after, when he got 40. How many goals, or was it 50 goals, or however many goals he got? Competition.
6 in the league.
The press like to talk about it. 20-goal a season striker, blah. All it's one of those things, but it helps. But if you have goals from everywhere, then that's much better. Let me put it this way, right? If you're not going to get one player score 50 goals, but if you can get 10 players to have about 4 goals each, that's you know what I mean? That's already. You have one guy on 8 and 3 guys on 6 and 3 other guys on 4 each. The numbers, the game, it starts adding up. It's always great to have a top scorer.
Yeah, and that's true, because if you look at the scoring charts, we're just second behind Man City. Man City's on 51, Arsenal is on 49. I think we have got so much on this game, so let's go to the next one.
It is an Arsenal podcast. I don't like thinking about it. I also wanted to point out that if I remember correctly, the best individual Premier League season goals and whatever combined, Henry's 24 goals, 20 assist season. You guys didn't win the league that season. That was 0203. 0203. People forget that. One player got 44 goal contributions, and the team still didn't win the league. I think Salah was trying to tie that last year. Did he end
Yeah,
up
yeah,
tying it?
he almost tied it. He was on
I think, yeah,
29
I
and
can't
18,
remember.
something
Yeah.
like that.
So
But he had
it's
to,
one of those
yeah.
things that it's nice for the fans. It's nice to have a guy that, oh, this is our point man, whatever. But if the whole team is scoring, I mean, oh, look at Zubimendi's goal yesterday. That was sweet.
Yeah, it was mad. It was really mad.
Yeah,
Especially with the way they played that low block, it's going to be very difficult to basically
yeah, and just
find the way
lovely from
across.
nowhere, right on the ground. The daisy cutter, as they called him.
Awesome, awesome. So let's go to this game. This was a game that really hurt me. Actually, when I saw the Dominic Soboslai free kick, I could just see the lights. I could see the headlines, 9 points clear,
9 points
yada
ahead,
yada. I
especially
was
because he
already,
scored a free kick against you
yes,
guys,
so
right?
it's like, when Arsenal came to Anfield, Soboslai with a mad stunner, same thing with Man City. Then in the last 5 minutes, the whole game just went into bedlam. So, what's your take on this game in general? Do you think Man City did enough to win, or was a draw a fair result?
This was a weird game. I no, you see, if Liverpool should have won this game for multiple reasons, in my opinion. I mean, Bernardo Silva tugged on. I've forgotten who he tugged on as well. That should have been a penalty. Wasn't
Yeah,
a penalty. Gay's tug on Salah. I mean,
it's outside the box
that
though.
is Mohamed Salah. It was Gay, right? That is a
Yeah,
goal scoring
yeah.
opportunity. That is a goal scoring opportunity.
But he wasn't the last man. That can be
It's not. You
contested.
see, that's the thing. It's not last. You see, that's one of those things where I believe, the way we interpret it is not actually
It's
what the
flawed.
rule says. Yeah, because when you say last man, I mean, he's not a last man on a straight line. So if there's a last man on the corner flag, would you say, it's one of those things where I think it's one of those it's a complicated one, but it's not complicated. We complicate it. So I think that's what I want to say. You see,
Yeah.
even let me put it this way, right? If the defender is standing in front of a goalkeeper, can
Okay.
Salah take a shot round the defender and score?
Possibly.
No, it's still a goal scoring opportunity. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So,
It's
so
you're denying, and the foul is denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity. If Salah in that position, it is a goal scoring opportunity. And don't get me wrong, it is paining me to my guts because I hate Liverpool, as you probably imagine, to say anything good about Liverpool. But if that's not a goal scoring opportunity, then I mean, outside the box rockets, Zubimendi scored from a harder position than where Salah was yesterday, with
yeah.
more players in between him and the post.
Yeah.
Matheus Cunha sent the ball around Gabriel
Gabriel.
to score against Arsenal. Salah would have been facing the keeper with a player to his left, and there was a lot of goal on the right. So
Yeah.
there was
So
that
so
one
it's,
penalty.
it's, it's a difficult one, man.
You know,
I understand you. I fully get it. But sometimes when you look at the decisions and just like for instance now, look at the one that was even more crazy. When Alisson went to attack, right? That Cherky played the ball to an empty net. There's Muslai and Haaland basically fighting with each other.
you know,
On one hand, you could have let that ball to be a goal, right? But at the same time, he decided to say it was a foul by Haaland on Superslide, but it was still a foul by Superslide on Haaland. So
it's one of those things where the spirit of the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law. Yeah, but then let me put it this way: it's like sometimes when some people say, a defender who like blocks a shot going in, right? Should they give a penalty? Because the ball was definitely going in. He
Yeah, for
blocked it,
sure.
right? You now reduce that chance to a 70% chance. Because
Yeah.
penalties are 71% or whatever, however percent they
Yeah,
are.
unlike
Like
a goal that was 100%, yes.
unlike a goal, literally, it was literally going in and he blocked it. Do you give him a red card and give the goal? Is that double punishment? Because I actually think you should give him a red card and the goal.
No,
But
no,
that's
but
my personal.
if you give him a red card, then that should be more than enough. Because like see what happened with Suarez and Ghana, right?
Yeah.
When he got the red card, he was in
They
tears
still
because
missed
he
the
knew
penalty.
that. Yes, but he was in tears then when I knew that he had actually given Ghana a chance to win the game,
No,
right?
but remember, he gave the red card. He stopped the ball going in. And he had now given, when you stop a goal going in, you have now reduced the chances of the goal. He did an advantage for his team. And the advantage worked. That's why Suarez zone is the perfect example of why that rule should be abolished. Because I stop a ball going in, I get a red card, yeah, no problem. But that goal, my team now save that penalty and win. Did you
Yeah,
understand what I mean? I
yeah,
stopped
but
a
it
man down
becomes
is
a
not
goal
an
when the ball passes the line. The ball
No,
didn't
I know.
pass the
Don't get me wrong.
line.
I mean, I know. I'm not. I mean, I know what the rule is. It's just an interesting
Mm-hmm.
one. Because you've reduced a 100% goal to a 70% chance. So who have you punished? Really, you've punished me by not getting my goal. If that makes any sense.
Mm. Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
tricky one. But anyway, on that one, right? I get it. The spirit of the law. I mean, because to me, because there was a potential red card offense, you don't play on for red card offenses. That's the thing, because I mean, there was Suarez versus versus Arsenal, Ryan Sterling some years ago, where I think Arsenal
Mm-hmm.
won a fast break and the ref stopped the game because he had to give a yellow card. You can stop for yellow card offenses. You can give play on, ball goes out, then you give the yellow card. But I think once something is a red card offense, the ball has
Yeah,
to be
you
the
have
game
to.
has
But
yeah. It has to be.
fair
I think
enough.
that's the only reason they had to do it.
Okay, that makes sense. So now
I think
let's
that's
look at Arne Slot as a manager. Is his job hinging on Liverpool qualifying for the Champions League this season?
in this mad world we're in, it seems so. But I would really hope that Liverpool's owners are not that trigger happy. The game has changed. And a league, I mean, we've seen it happen. Carlo Ancelotti won the league one year, came
Yeah, I'm still
second the
just
next year, went out in the quarterfinals of the Champions League and still got sacked. But Abramovich, we know how Abramovich acts.
oh yeah,
I
yeah,
was
he
about
was
to say
trigger
who else
happy
has done
though.
that? Antonio Conte.
But I can remember Capello winning the league in Madrid and still getting sacked.
Oh no, no, I'm talking about England. Madrid do what they want. Madrid can do what they want. Del Bosque won the league, didn't he, and got sacked. You know, and yeah, no, Madrid do what they want because you know if you don't win the Champions League or whatever, you know, and
Yeah.
then Chelsea did it again with Conte, where he won the league one season. They had
Next
a
season again.
they had a bad second season. It wasn't terrible, if I remember correctly. It wasn't
Yeah,
like they came
yeah,
on, you
yeah.
know,
I
wasn't
agree.
terrible, but he still left. But I guess he was a combustible character. But Ancelotti was not a combustible character. But anyway, back to the question at hand.
Mm-hmm.
If a manager comes into a team, wins the league the first year, the second year, you spend lots of money, but you make lots of money. You also don't address your main problem, which is central defense, and
Yeah,
you have
but
an aging
so
star.
before you continue, when you win the league, shouldn't be some type of grace that should be afforded to you?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm about to say. Is that when
Okay.
you've done all that, and you know, I don't think he's a great manager, but I don't think he's a bad manager. He is a league-winning manager, so he has something in him. Oh my God, Dembele just scored a wonder goal on the TV in the background. A second wonder goal. I'm sorry,
You
no.
know.
When it was like Matthias Cunha's goal against Fulham,
Yeah. The roof.
but this was more of a dribble, and woo, top. Anyway, sorry. Back to what we
That,
said.
that, that French league though, oh, it
But it's my
just
say. He should be given some grace. But it comes to those situations where this is going to be like a Van Gaal at Man United situation, where
okay.
because so many good managers will be available, they might be pushed into pulling the trigger.
Hmm.
Whether he
Yeah.
qualifies for Champions League or not, it might just be a situation of, bro, you did well, we were reigning champions. Liverpool are probably not going to come first or second. So you can say from reigning champions to third or fourth is a drop off, right? They can
Mm-hmm.
frame it that way because there'll be so many good managers that will probably be on the market. There's Jabi Alonso who has ties to the club.
Yeah.
There's Jabi Alonso who has ties to the club. There's Nagelsmann who might be free.
Luis Enrique,
Luis Enrique, yeah, possibly. There's some, yeah.
Tuchel, maybe after the World Cup.
Thomas Tuchel might be available. I don't think they would go for Tuchel though. I don't think Liverpool. I don't think he's that kind of manager. But
Yeah,
it's an
yeah,
interesting one.
but the thing is this: looking at Liverpool last season, the way they won the league, they were basically grinding out results. They were not like knocking teams out of the park, right? And
Yeah,
this
but they were
season,
you only play what's in front of you. They were the best team in the league, and it is what it is. They've due to different reasons, a big factor being squad adaptation, so much turnover, new players, but also more importantly, injuries have affected them. No central
yeah,
defense cover.
Isaac,
I mean, I have to mention it because people like to mention it, even though I think people deal with things differently. But they lost a teammate, and the
oh
Anfield crowd are not
yeah,
helping. Every 20 minute, every 20th minute, you're
they
reminding
keep
them
they,
of that
they,
loss.
they keep reminding the guys about
Yeah,
that
I
loss.
know
It's
it's a thing of honor,
psychological.
but yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we have a comment from Okiogan. Welcome to the channel, bro. He said, "Why didn't the ref allow the goal to stand? It's playing an advantage to City than the ref, which is double jeopardy, because it's both a loss for both cases and a loss for the player." Yeah, it was like a really confusing one. But
No,
then
no,
again,
because it's a red card offense. They don't.
yeah,
You don't do. It's a red card offense. It's what you're saying is almost like saying, you know what? Let the if he blocked the goal from going in, because the foul happened before the ball had crossed the line.
yeah.
So if we say they should just let it go, then next time if ball's rolling in, I can just hack someone from behind, break his ankles for the next games, and like, guys, I mean the ball was going in anyway.
True, true, true.
But the
Because I was
spirit of the
one, I
law.
was even thinking about the Gyökeres goal. Was that a red card from that loan from Ronaldo? Did you see the goal?
Yeah, no, I swear I watched that. It's one of those ones. I mean, I wouldn't give a red there. I think it was,
Because he entered.
it was a desperate lunge to get, but it was a desperate lunge to get the ball. Like, it can be, if it was given, I wouldn't have had a problem with it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
true.
it's one of those ones. It's one of those ones. Like, to be fair, right? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we'll get onto the Man United game eventually,
Yeah,
but
very
like
soon. But
the Romero
okay.
card. Yeah.
Okay, so now yeah, of course we'll look at the Romero incident. That was just that guy just gangster man. Now Aston Villa, there was a time when they had won 11 games in a row, everyone was raving about them, how they're 30 challengers, yada. Then they met Arsenal at the Emirates and lost 4-1. And since then they've had a couple of start-stop results. But looking at the game against Bournemouth, was this a game they expected to win?
So, this I mean, a draw was a good result in this game. But Bournemouth were, they were on it, and Martinez made lots of saves. The thing
Yeah,
about
many good
Villa is
saves.
people kept on forgetting. I mean, they were doing really well, and the team doing well is a team doing well, but they were overshooting their metrics by a mile. And in this day and age of XG,
It's a
we
catch
now
up.
have we have the numbers to back it. Like, they were
Mm-hmm.
scoring screamers from outside the box. They were, less possession but winning games. It was one
Yeah.
of those things where if it returned to the mean. Now sometimes these things don't return to the mean in the same season. Like Nottingham Forest,
Mm-hmm.
they did so well last season and returned to the mean a little bit at the end of it, and then started this season badly. You know.
Yeah, yeah, true, true.
Now Villa have had the high and they've returned to the mean this season. Because even at their height, I said it in the group we're voting and everything. I said, and this was I think in December
Mm-hmm.
or early January, that Man United would finish ahead of Aston Villa, and I still stand by it because they were overperforming. I saved it somewhere now, chat. They were performing way above their metrics. It was not sustainable, and that was when it was Chelsea, Aston Villa that were ahead of Man United, and I was
Yeah.
like, I can see Villa dropping off eventually, and their small squad and injuries and just general the way they were overperforming their metrics were crazy.
Yeah, and I look at the quality of the squad. I don't know, did that look like a top four quality kind of team? But I just feel that Emery also has his own challenges as a manager, where he tends to
Mm.
drop off when the goods are really up against him. Just like last season when
Yeah,
he
he's
was.
such a good cup manager. That's why he's won
Yeah,
like cups like Europa Leagues and whatever. Because setting a team for individual games, very good. Some
yeah,
managers are like that. Also, he likes a small squad because it's easier to manage. But small squad comes with its challenges when you're facing a strong season like in the English league. You know.
yeah, yeah. I agree. Now let's talk about Watkins for a bit. There were some high expectations from him because in previous campaigns he has actually been very good for them, notching up very good numbers as well. What's the take on him this season? Like, has he
But no, I
really
think
regressed?
he's not regressed, but it's like there's also been injuries. He's been injured a little bit as well, and he's a year older. Some we need to realize sometimes it's just your body being your body, and Villa, they've had some challenges as a team. They've had injuries to their midfield, each of their midfielders at some point or the other. I think Rodgers is
Yeah,
the only one that hasn't had a little niggle here or there at some particular point. And also because their team was not playing fantastically, it wasn't bringing out his strengths. But then you had the Rodgerses and co scoring those screamers,
yeah,
and so they were getting away with it. So I think, and also with the multiple games, he just needs a rest. And then
true,
some
true.
the signings they got, Gassard, who they've now loaned to Crystal Palace, did
Yeah, he even had an
was
assist
pleased.
today. I was surprised. Like when I didn't watch the game, but when I checked that stats, I saw Gesard assisted
Yeah,
Sam.
he moved it.
I'm
Yeah,
like, what?
you know.
Is it the same Gesard I just joined Aston Villa? Just like Arias. Arias has gone back to Palmeiras.
Yep.
I'm like, whoa. So, but someone like Tammy Abraham that has joined
He's
them.
a good signing.
Yeah, do you think he's going to really challenge Watkins?
Yeah, no, he has to, and because at the end of the day, goals win games, and the advantage is that I think Abraham is the kind of player Emery would like. Hardworking, can run the channels, do his thing. Also, they've got Donovan. It's Donovan, right?
Leon
Bailey.
Bailey.
Leon, who's Donovan Bailey again? The runner, right? Sorry, Leon
Yeah.
Bailey. Yeah, they got Leon
Yeah.
Bailey back from loan, and he was a guy, at his peak. He used to create a lot of chances,
True. True.
and he was also instrumental in, he can take players away from him and create a bit more space for people to thrive in. So they're not going to suddenly become terrible, but
Mhm.
the challenges they have, the Europa League and the league with their thin squad, there are a lot more points to be dropped.
Yeah, but the loan signings, Sancho and Elliot, what's your take on their performances
So
so far?
Sancho's been actually all right the last few games he's come on. To be fair, he's been okay. The game last week that they lost, he assisted the goal that they decided had gone out for a throw in 2 minutes
Yeah.
before, and
Yeah.
he
Champions
took the
goal.
shot, so he was a bit lively. The Bradley, I really don't know. I don't know. Not Elliot. Sorry, the Heavy Elliot one. I don't know because they don't
Mm.
play him much. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a what's the word, personality clash with Emery, but he's not getting the games, and also because he's not getting the games and Emery doesn't like him, he's not going to fulfill the I think there's a
The
number of
clause.
tests, the
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
clause. So
appearance
he's just,
clause, yes.
it's just, I think what they should have done this January is, hey, Aston Villa, Liverpool, we don't really like this guy,
Take him back.
but we don't want his career to waste. Can we like remove that clause so he can play? We can play him a bit more, and he can go back to you guys, and you can choose what to do with him. Because this is, his career is just going to waste.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so let's go to the best of the rest. And there's no better place to start than one of the best of the rest right now, which is Man United.
I mean, just out of curiosity,
Yeah?
why is Aston Villa a title rival and Man United is not?
No, no, because they have been challenging for the Premier League. At some point, they're even 3 points behind Arsenal, right?
So is it the number of points behind Arsenal that determine? No, I just want to understand
No, no, so they were kind of challenging for the title, right? At some point. Even
why
though the
why
fact
why why were they challenging for, because of the points gap to the top? No, I'm asking. I'm curious. No, I'm genuinely curious.
Oh my god! So I had the same battle with Ibuka. He was like,
No,
"There's no
it's a
way
discussion.
Liverpool."
I just want to know the criteria
Okay, so my criteria is more like close proximity to the top of the table.
to the top of the table in points or in position.
Points and position. So maybe if Man United goes
So
above Aston Villa, they'll probably become title challengers. Does
no,
that
but if I
work?
no, I'm just curious. No, I mean, if Man United are third but at 20 points behind, are they title challenge? I'm just curious. Like if Arsenal get a 15-point lead, right, and Man United is, and Aston Villa is 3 points behind Man City, so they're 18 points behind. Would they still be? Would Man City even be
And, no, no,
title?
and at that point, everybody will be best of the rest.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm just curious. That's it. That's it. I'm a
Okay,
curious guy.
so now Man City, Arsenal, Fulham, Spurs. These were games that Man U fans were dreading under Ruben Amorim, and Carrick has come, maintained the same type of formation where he has given these guys freedom to express themselves, very well, and now the results are actually showing this. So the question I want to ask you is: would if Carrick is offered the job long term, like what happened in OGS, will you be satisfied, or do you still want a different manager to come and take over Man United?
Um, I mean, we're using limited information, 4 games, but yeah, I'm not averse. The issue is with getting managers, a manager like Carrick. And when I say
Mhm.
like Carrick, I don't mean the Man United history, whatever, bright manager who's done a good job somewhere. Every manager, either you retire or get sacked somewhere or the other, unless you're like, or Pep will either retire or get sacked.
Mhm.
You know, room for things like, for example, right? If these performances and games and results had happened under Amorim, right,
Mhm.
there would still be a cloud. There's something about when Man United hire a manager, right, that there's pressure from day one, and the people who do the best work are the ones who get a bit of leeway,
Yeah.
right? Now, the problem with leeway, because this is interesting, because I can reel it off all the managers Man United has had since Sir Alex Ferguson left.
Mhm.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, at the time he was managing, he got the job and was managing United, right? I think his first 19 games, he won like 17 of his first 19 games. then lost like 6 of the next 9 or something like that. But he had already been given the contract.
Yeah.
The season that started after that, 19 to 20 season, right? Man United did well, but because United had come second in the 17-18 season, there was still a way it was being looked at. I mean, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was there for 3.5 years, came second, had a no loss away season, the COVID season, which a lot of strange things happened, but he came second and all that. If Michael Carrick comes second, it'll be great. But then the question will always be asked, he can't take us to the next step, which is what happened with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I think if they hire Carrick, right, I would just hope that no matter what happens, give him a full year. Because the Man United job is becoming the poison chalice.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. Amorim was not sacked for results. He was sacked because of the personality clash.
Ego clashes with the higher ups.
Ego clashes. Because I can get it from his point of view I get the pressure that comes with being Man United manager, but you're not giving me the leeway. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Same thing with Maresca, like.
But then again, bro. Remember when he changed to a back four against Newcastle?
We were battered in that game.
Newcastle,
we were battered in that game.
But the next result was back to the same issues they were having with him.
When you say same issues, yeah, granted, yes, but 3 points off the top 4, 6th in the table. I asked anybody, show me a prediction pre-season where United were being put above 6th. People were saying, they would come like 6th, 5th, 6th.
Yeah.
So a manager being sacked at the time he's at that position it's ridiculous.
True. True.
The same way when at the point when Ten Hag was sacked as well, it was ridiculous. The season before was bad, but United still won a trophy.
Yeah, they won the FA Cup. Yeah, but that FA Cup, it was like what's the word to use? It was like is it a cover? I don't think you work cover. Like when something is wrong, going bad for you, and you just do something that will just give you some level of grace.
That's why Arteta is still Arsenal manager. That's why Arteta is still Arsenal manager. In Arteta's second season, people forget with not even the second season. Yeah, the
first full season, we finished 8th.
First full season, he came 8th as well, but that was the COVID season.
Yeah.
But he had the backing of an FA Cup. Now, this is Ten Hag, that the season before the bad season that you're saying he needed the backing of an FA Cup, he came 3rd and also won a trophy. Like, our memories are so short in football these days. It's so crazy. It baffles me. Because as of last season, the season Ten Hag was sacked, right? Rashford was being called washed because the season before he got only 8 goals or 7 goals or whatever it was. But people forget that the season before that he scored 30 goals.
He scored 30 goals. Yeah, so look at this comment from Okeogan talking about the new manager bounce. Do you think if Carrick gets this role, this form will no longer be sustainable?
This form, 4 wins in a row, right?
Is it too small?
How many teams have won 4 wins in a row this season in the league?
Arsenal, a couple of times.
Who else?
I think
Liverpool started with 5 in a row, and Aston Villa. That's all. Winning 4 games in a row. Call it new manager bounce. It's not easy, regardless of who you're playing.
True.
5 games in a row is not easy, regardless of who you're playing. Now, the point about new manager bounce, the thing about new manager bounce is that people should stop saying that about Solskjaer. Solskjaer, the only thing Solskjaer didn't do in Man United, Solskjaer was top, he was there for, he ended 3 seasons in Man United, right?
Yeah.
In 2 of those 3, he ended the season, he took halfway, and 2 other seasons. In those 2 other seasons, he was in the top 4. The only thing he was like, that's what managers he came second as well.
Yeah.
People forget Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came second. We look back, he got to Europa League final. He lost finals. He lost the Europa League final.
Yeah, to Emery, actually.
Do you understand? People forget that they keep saying, the manager bounce thing and all that. It's not a mistake. Solskjaer was a good manager. Was he the manager that could have taken United the next step? Maybe not. But then when they said the next step, right? When they said the next step, last year, you would not have said United were challenging for the title. 2 years ago, you wouldn't have said they were challenging for the title. Even the year we came 3rd, we were quote-unquote challenging for a title for about 2 weeks when we were really close to Arsenal and Man City. Then we lost to Liverpool, and then it went downhill from there. So we've not been challenging for the title for a while.
Mm-hmm.
We've been We've not even been consistently top 4 for a while.
True.
What are Carrick's targets? You see, when we say these things, what targets managers need to be judged by targets.
Yeah,
If
the
Carrick comes in,
ambition, the
his target should be
Champions
okay.
League
You've got a good
qualification at
squad.
the very least.
No, European qualification. First of all, the league is
No,
tough, bro.
not Champions League.
No, initially, I'm talking about initially.
Okay, okay,
Okay, let me
yeah,
put
yeah,
it this way.
yeah, yeah.
When he got the job, when he got this interim job, what was his target? See us for the season. Let's qualify for Europe. Man
Yeah.
United is doing well. The league people are losing. You're like, oh, we should qualify for Champions League. We'll now get fickle. If we now don't qualify for Champions League, people are like, man, he couldn't even get them to qualify for Champions League. He took over when you were sixth. He maintained you up to fifth. Like, calm down. Then if the
Yeah,
next
yeah,
season now starts, he's in the Europa League, which is a slog, Sunday to Thursday. He now
yeah.
maintains and qualifies for Europa League again. Maybe increase the points tally a bit. People will still be like, man, we need to get the manager to take us to the next step. Guy, grow slowly.
Yeah,
But
but speaking of next step, we take Alonso. I don't think he'll be able to come to Liverpool ties, right?
no, Samad Busby used to play for Man City. Many Man United managers before I played for Liverpool. I don't saw that, but I don't think Alonso. He will come with expectations that I don't think he can achieve. That's why I liked the Ten Hag and Amorim signings.
Okay, so before I leave this slide, who is your ideal manager in the summer?
I don't know. It depends on who's available. I don't know. I don't.
Oh,
I'm not even thinking that far. Who's my ideal manager? Okay. If Carrick goes on a super run and like wins the league and then retires and then walks into this sunset, and they told me to pick any manager and they were going to give him an unlimited budget.
oh my God, that's a good
I
one.
would, I would like, I would like. I mean, Nagelsmann. I'm not sure, but Nagelsmann, he's used to being. You see, all the managers coming will come with expectations that they cannot handle.
Yeah, and they'll clash with the board, yeah.
That they cannot handle. I mean, Real Madrid aside, there is no bigger expectation than the manager of Man United based on the size of club and the person that has come before him. And that's just the problem. You keep being compared. Oh, Fergie, did you do Fergie this, Fergie that, Fergie that? I like looking at your past, but it's crazy because true. Any manager, if we go for a big name manager, then he's expected to come with a big name. If he comes fourth or third, it's like, whoa, man.
Yeah.
Man, what's going on now? It's one of those
Yeah,
ones. It's crazy. We'll see. I'm playing it by
I
ear.
agree with you. I agree with you.
Jose Mourinho came second, 81 points, won 2 trophies in 2 years, and people still blasted him.
Yeah, I agree.
What
I
can you
agree.
do?
Well, they're basically in such shape at this point.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, so let's talk about sports for a little bit before we leave here. Thomas Frank basically edging towards relegation, man. Is it high time he leaves the club?
Bro, they're injured. They have 13 first team players injured.
Yeah.
I feel for them because yes, he's coming to a situation, come from a smaller club. They're now giving him that beef. Smaller club, you can't handle a bigger club. Bro, no manager comes into a club with 10 injuries and you expect him to do fantastically.
Yeah.
And it's injuries in key places. All his creative players. So when he was trying to set them up solidly defensively, you now have crazy people like Romero getting red cards, going to miss 4 games now. Here's the thing. When you watch Spurs with their 10 injuries and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, hold on a second. Sorry, hold on a second.
Sure.
Sorry, please hold on a second.
Okay, so while we're waiting for him, let's just take more comments from the chat. Kerrigan says that the Man U job is a different proposition because everyone is judged against Ferguson, and that makes everyone a failure. Yeah, I agree. But then again, Ferguson is a world-class manager. You really can't,
Sorry about that. I wasn't expecting someone, but I got a ring. There was someone at the door. I was like, okay,
No, that's fine.
Sunday morning. Yeah. So here's the thing. With the squad they have now, do you think a manager can change it? With all the injuries they have, Romero is going to be missing for 4 games now. So no, what you do is you have some stability, keep the manager to the end of the season. They're doing well in the Champions League. Maybe do like last season, focus on the Champions League, get as far there as you can, and see what happens next.
Yeah, but then again, when they were under Ange, right? Yes, I know he won the Europa League, but Tottenham was terrible in the Premier League.
But it was the same situation.
That even after getting the trophy, he was
from
still
February.
sacked.
No, but from March. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But here's the thing: if they had changed Ange during the season, they might not have won the Europa League.
Yeah, potentially.
So that's the point. And also, they and Man United had the same thing from March. or was it end of February? They knew their league season was a bit wonky. They started focusing
They
on
started
Europe.
sacrificing it. Yeah, I
They
agree. Then it
were not
seemed worth it in
they were
the
not
end.
starting Romero and Van der Ven in the league anymore.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
were blooding new
yeah.
players.
Yeah, Arsenal even did the same thing with the Premier League as well. When we and Liverpool were kind of too far off, we started
They
focus
just
on
lost
winning the
that. Yeah.
Champions League games and and all that. I agree. Okay, so let's get to the next fixture. The Cold Palmer show. So Wolves is a team that obviously they're going to be relegated. They've already gotten Robert Duot, who is the Championship elite manager. But going into this game, Palmer has been struggling with injuries so much. Then he notches up two penalties. People are talking about how he's winning penalties and yada yada. But the people that also miss penalties. So I think they need to give him some kind of respect, right? Now, what's your take on the new coach that the fashion designer slash tech bro, Yang Senior, taking over from
I mean,
Maresca?
it's I mean, the master sacking again. It was, it wasn't for results. It was for. I mean, they were on a bad run, but it was more for the clashes and all that.
Yeah,
Rosinho he's a smart. He's a new age. He's from the new age of coaches. He's what 41, 42.
yeah, Gen Z stuff, man.
He's quite sharp
Hmm.
from conversations interviews I've seen him have and all that. Managing this squad is going to be an interesting one because people forget that as they spend a lot of money, but it's all spent on young players. And the thing with young players is that they're going to be erratic. And when
Yeah,
you have a balance of young and old players, then when the young players are erratic, the old players balance it out. But if they're all young guys, and then injuries as well. I mean, Kopama is quote unquote their best player, and he's been injured for a while. Also, we hear that, and I'm not 100% sure, but their player management is not just about injuries as well. I've heard certain players need to get game time because Chelsea are a player trading club, so that
yeah,
values are maintained. He would rather play his best players all the time, win games. If an injury comes, we'll deal with it then.
yeah.
But if they're saying no, 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 I mean, remember the Wenger days of Alexis Sanchez being in the red zone, right? I need the
Hmm.
points Sanchez is bringing. If he gets in the red zone, we'll deal with it. But the way their club is run, there are a lot of things around the way there's a lot of intrigue around the way they do things. Because sometimes you're thinking, is Andre Santos getting games because even though the manager doesn't like him, he's gonna get some minutes because you're gonna want to still sell him for like 40 million this summer.
Yeah,
Played
yeah,
only 2 games, that affects it. Hato, I don't know why Hato gets on the pitch at all. He's a young kid. He's not terrible, but he's not ready. So when he
yeah.
comes on and he's not
Both
ready, you're not
fullback
giving him a
back,
choice.
centre back, same thing, even by their shield. Like that, the
Yeah.
squad is quite strange. When I think about the fact that they spend so much money, but you tend to just see the level of the squad, and you're like wondering who are even the main guys there. Because if you take out Enzo, take out Caicedo, take out Palmer, I think the squad is like average at best.
I mean, João Pedro is a good player, but he's not great yet.
Yeah,
Pedro Neto is a good erratic player, but he's not great. Garnacho is not great. Gittins is not great. The lap is not great. There's no good, for all the money they've spent, but then they make a lot of money back because look at it this way. Noni Madueke, good player. He wasn't great, but they
yeah,
got
but 50
40 million for
mil.
him. How
Yeah,
much was it? 40, 50,
52 mil.
for him. Now
48
spend
plus
it
4 on
on
add-ons.
Garnacho, who is not great but has potential, and because he's young and has potential, he will have flashes. They can still sell Garnacho for 40 million.
For
He's still
40 or
just
50
21.
mil. Yeah, I agree.
So
Like Gittins.
and they are hoping that there's a season where it will all just click.
Yeah,
Where
yeah, because my
you,
challenge is if you leave these guys together for maybe 3 to 4 campaigns,
yeah.
when they've come to get the right level of chemistry, I think they can start challenging for the title. But the
But they're
challenge
not
here
going to
is
be
that
left
it's not even
having them
possible
all.
because in the
Yeah,
next season you're going to sell Pedro, sell.
you know.
But then
There's rumors
again,
that Enzo Real Madrid might be wanting to go and
and he will leave, of course. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so let's go to the next fixture, and this is the Great Escape. So things are really, really rocking at the bottom of the table. West Ham. I think it's fair to say that Burnley and the Wolves are done.
yeah.
It's just a case of who's going to come with them, and we have Nottingham Forest, West Ham, and Leeds. In that bracket. This was a game that West Ham absolutely needed to win, and they won. So, do you think they're going to drag Nottingham Forest below them and go ahead of them, or do you think they'll still be relegated?
If I had to pick one of the two, and this is going to be so interesting. Now, I think Leeds are going to be safe. I think they found their rhythm, but you never know. One injury, the wrong injury, that could change. West Ham and Forest, at first glance, I'm like, Jared Bowen, the midfield they have, Nuno, West Ham are safe. Then I look at Forest, I'm like, Sean Dyche, the midfield he has, the forwards he has and is buying. Oh my God,
Mhm.
it's going to be really interesting. I can't call it either way. I'm not gonna lie. I
Yeah.
can't call it because I can
Yeah.
see either team going on a 2-3 game
Yeah,
winning run.
and the crazy part is that two of them are really investing in January as well.
Yeah,
Like you can see these guys are desperate not to want to go
you know,
back, to the championship, and it's quite
it's
interesting.
crazy. And West Ham have been around for a while now. Wait, hold on. Let me look at. I mean,
Mm,
I'm just
but
looking at the table. I just realized it's crazy because the points. I mean, oof,
yeah,
dude,
2020.
Brighton could get dragged in there. Brighton could get dragged in there.
Yeah,
I don't
Loki,
think
eh?
I don't know.
I agree. Yeah, and
I can
even
see
Palace
on
with their bad
form.
results
I
were
can
going
see
down
West
a
Ham.
bit.
Yeah, on form, I can see West Ham getting 8 more points than Brighton for the rest of the season.
Mm.
It's crazy. There's just
Yeah,
so many crazy things.
Brighton have
But then
really been
Brighton as well,
poor
they have
this
so many
season.
players. They could just now go on a run, but they're in terrible form. But it's yeah. West Ham and Nottingham Forest are the two favorites to go down. I mean, one of them are the two favorites to go down. But I can't call it. I can't call it at all.
Fair enough. So Lucas Paqueta finally went back to Brazil, had a tumultuous time in the Premier League. What was the take on his overall performance while he was still playing for West Ham? Do you think
Yeah,
he was?
he was a mercurial player, good player. I mean, I liked him. He was at Lyon. He was at
Mhm,
Wait, no, he was at Milan for a bit. He was at Milan for a year. I watched
mhm.
him well at Milan, if I remember correctly, for a year. He was all right, but he was one. He's not. He's a good player, but because of his temperament and obviously getting silly yellow cards here and there, he's not what you want in a relegation dogfight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you get some solid guys, hungrier guys. I mean, he might have been quite hungry. I mean, the producers are listening, the lawyers might call it, but we don't know the things that happened with his case. There might have been a sign of hunger in the things he had done. But
Mhm,
on
mhm.
another day,
Yeah.
I think it's one of those scenarios where
Okay, now forwarding. Let's address this comment from Okiogan. He says he thinks the impatience level of some top clubs is quite high. People forget that Fergie had a couple of poor seasons and would have been sacked before he started winning. When you look at the level of money being invested in clubs, don't you think there's some expectation that come with it?
so the issue, okay, this point is very pregnant, yeah, because the issue is everybody's investing. So if you spend 200 million, right,
Okay.
you expect to be 200 million better than you were last year, right?
Yes.
No problem. The guy that you were better than, that was 100 million better than you, that you think you've now spent 200 million to be better than him, he's also spent 200 million too. You understand? People need to be more, I think it was Cesar Menotti, the great Argentine coach, said it
Mhm.
that, only one person is going to win the league. So
Eventually.
people have to gauge progress in different ways,
Yeah,
right?
I agree with that. Because I know every board or every club should have their own level of ambitions, right?
Because like I said, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, we genuinely do not know, right? We genuinely do not know if he would have been good enough to win a Premier League title, right?
Yeah.
Because yes, let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. I've told, there's a big chance that if COVID didn't happen, Ateta would not be in the Arsenal job now.
Yeah,
If there
potentially.
were crowds booing, we know how the Emirates can be.
Yeah,
When that
they have
successful
put his
season
life away,
was behind
man.
closed doors, if he was getting booed, it was behind closed doors up till April now. Remember when they started letting half of the stadium back in, a third of the stadium? By December, Arsenal were in the trenches. They were like 12th or whatever it was, and now ended up
Mhm.
finishing 8th, I think, right? Or was it 8th or 10th? Whatever.
Yeah, it is it.
The Emirates booing 60,000 or 50,000 booing. That's those cold winter months of January, February. He might have been gone for.
Yeah,
Do you understand what I
yeah,
mean? And then now he wouldn't have had the time to get to where he was. The same way
yeah.
in the COVID season, but on a social what came second. Man United had the second best. Was it COVID season or the season? Which one season did we come second? Yeah,
No,
the
no,
COVID season.
no, no,
We came
no.
second.
COVID season was they were third because
2021.
Man City came
Forget that.
second to Liverpool.
No, 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 no. 1920, yeah, was but the season I'm calling COVID season. It's not the
So
season that
1920
COVID
now.
met us in. the 2021 full season. That the
Oh
full
yeah, yeah,
season.
yeah, 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 yeah. Mm-hmm.
He
I
came
get it
second.
now. Yeah.
He came second. Klopp dropped from champion to fourth now with last minute header. What's his name? Allison against West Brom.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But obviously he had bought some whatever, some mileage in the tank, some goodwill in the tank. But yeah, like we're saying, so the investment, as you're getting better, other people are getting better too. You're spending 200 million, someone else is spending 100 million. Is there progress? Did we get better in points? Even if we didn't get better in points, how did we do in the season we're in? What are our underlying numbers? These things I think should be looked at a bit more closely, not just, man, we're Man United, we should be top of the table, we're not doing well. Well, Liverpool, we should be where we are, we're not doing well. Well, Man City, we should be where we're not doing well. Yeah, you might have had a bad season. People are not allowed to have bad seasons anymore. That's the crazy thing about it.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Kenyan Dewsbury Hall. I mean, this boy just came back from his long-term injury and just basically cooked at Fulham. So, but Marco Silva's team, I think they have a decent home record, but this was a game that was kind of surprising to see them lose because Everton hasn't really been doing well away from home.
Yeah.
So, yeah, can you give me like your take on this performance from Everton?
It was one of those games because I watched the I didn't watch it live. I watched the extended highlights, the 30-minute highlights and all that. And it was an interesting game because Fulham went ahead. They had lots of chances. It was an own goal, but I mean, I hate calling those goals own goals, where keeper makes a save, hits on, and then
it
was from good attacking pressure. And
from
I thought they had it in the bag. I thought they would go and score a second one and all that. And then Everton just came roaring back. And it was one of those games where Fulham just had a bad day at the office. Maybe they were still reeling from the last minute loss they had last week against, who was it? They beat them last minute last week. Man United.
The Man United, yes.
Mm. So, the psychological damage, Sesko and, seeing Cunha's dance, those things, they can affect you.
Okay, but then again, look at the Iliman Ndiaye. Since his return from the AFCON, he hasn't really basically done what was expected of him. But I think now that he's not been on the left-hand side with Grealish out injured for a while, do you think he's still going to get a couple of games that he starts scoring goals, or should he just?
Yeah, no, I mean, I always find that it's so interesting how players return from tournaments like the World Cup, and you're given 3 weeks to recover and go and this and that. Now I get it's different with AFCON because you're literally playing the week before AFCON starts. You're not playing the whole AFCON, come back and start playing the next week. But then that's such a change in temperature, in conditions, in so many things. I don't think they should rush these players back. So I don't expect these players to come back with a bang. Some do. Some people are built different. But I expect him to just have some time to get in. I mean, Everton still in the cup, right? I can't remember if they're still in the cup. But he needs some time to rest and get back in the groove of things. He's a good player. And being on the left, I think that's his best position.
No. They're out of the cup. They lost some penalties to Sunderland. Where Robin
Thank you. So I think, he'll be all right. After this midweek games, the weekend is free. Next week is free. He should be all right. Give him 2 weeks. I think he'll be back to his best.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, let's go to the next one. Newcastle Brentford. I didn't see this on my bingo card, bro. Like St. James Park is one stadium that it has like a certain fear factor. It's not as if Newcastle is like supreme and whatnot, but for some reason they tend to just get results at home. So when I watched this game and saw what Brentford did, I was quite surprised. So can you give me your honest take on how the game panned out in your eyes?
The game was crazy. Like I was watching it and it was just going end to end, and it was a trick. Brentford did really well. To get that winner. The goals were good. I mean, some people say Pope could have done better, but all these shots, when they take shots and it goes between the keeper's legs, strikers are looking to get it on target, and that's a space that's on target. It's one of those games where it's a stunner. But if Newcastle had won 3-2, I wouldn't have been surprised either.
I agree.
It's one of those ones. There's some games you watch, you just enjoy them for what happened in them, and can't take much tactical or big picture news from it at all.
Yeah, and this was a relegation 6-pointer where Leeds were just 1 point ahead of Nottingham Forest.
Am I ready now? She wants a tight place. No, sorry.
Okay, and they needed to get some daylight from Forest. So getting this victory on Friday night would have been very, very monumental for them, especially for their confidence. Now, looking at Forest, the way their season has panned out so far, the highs of finishing 7th last year, to the lows of Espirito Santo clashing with Edu, to bring in Postecoglou, who almost took them to the trenches, to bring in Shondai, who kind of steadied the ship a bit. But right now, he's now losing some games. What do you think? What do you think will be going through Marinaki's head right now? As the relegation is
I
going on.
know when he was getting Edu right, he didn't think the clash would happen. And it was just one of those things where, as a manager, I mean, you run a business, you have a great, supervisor who's great at everything. You now bring in some high-powered executive manager to make things go really well. You want your visions for the future are this and that, and then they now clash. It's the manager that has to go. The supervisor, he's the
Yeah,
one that has to go. Even though
yeah,
in that situation, you're like kicking yourself, and then when he goes, you're like, who can I bring in? You bring in your countryman who is free flow attacking football, who and then that goes terribly wrong, and then you now bring in someone else who's doing okay, but then the whole point was you're trying to avoid relegation, and it's now a relegation dogfight. He's just going to be pulling his hair out, and he's probably going to lose some weight, which he needs to do. He's going to lose some weight over all of this, and this game was the game. It was this game that made me realize that Forest and West Ham are the ones. Leeds showed the bottle, they showed the nerve in a big game like this at home
yeah.
against a relegation rival. They did it. They did it. I was very impressed with them. I was very, very impressed with them.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And we even forgot the fact that Brentford actually beat Villa with 10 men last game week.
Yeah.
So
No, but you see that last game week, yeah, Villa. That's the thing. Villa. People forget Villa.
outplayed
Villa
them,
have
though.
space. If that makes any sense, it was one of those things because the red card came just before the break, if I remember correctly, before halftime,
In the
and
face of
Villa
the
had that goal
shadow.
disallowed, which demoralized them. And it's just one of those
Yeah.
games when, yeah,
Game
Brentford
state,
did
yeah.
really well. I mean, Brentford's resolve is fantastic. In
Yeah,
some games,
and I always think about the fact that they lost so many great players, Buemo, Visa, Morgan, their manager. Many people are actually touting them to even go down this year, and Andrews has done an exceptional job.
yeah, but people also forgot that they got good players. They got Jordan Henderson, who's a leader.
Yeah, Thiago
They
finally
got
came of age.
Watara, who was a bit player in Bournemouth, but you knew he was a good player. And they had
Mhm.
Ego Thiago, who was, he was bought to replace Tony. Yeah. And if he
Yeah,
didn't have his
but
injury,
he had
he
an
would have been the
injury.
whistle of last season. And Shashada has taste to burn and is a year older. And even though they lost Nogard, they still had Janssen, Damsgaard, got some other, got no, they did well. They got a better keeper. Kelleher was in the doldrums
Yeah,
in
compared
Liverpool.
to Flecken, yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Fleck
and
is
he
a
has
good
made
keeper, don't get me
some
wrong.
some
But
very
Kelleher is
vital
better,
saves for
younger,
them.
so people that, I mean, like Mark Twain said, the stories of their demise were very highly exaggerated.
True, true, true. Okay, so let's look at the final fixture of the game week. And this was the 13 match winning streak finally over. Things have really, really, really been down at Palace. Manager saying he's ready to leave the club, signing a new contract. Arteta submitting the transfer request only to find out that he has this bad knee injury that Milan could not accept. And they went ahead to buy Strand Larsen. So my first question is, if you knew that Glasner was leaving, why still invest?
So it's, you don't want to get drawn into a regular because you better invest now as opposed to having no money next season in the
Yeah.
championship. So it's relegation avoidance, basically. Relegation avoidance. And the
And it's
difficulty they were having attracting players,
mhm.
which is the fact that Glasner was leaving. We're not sure what's going on and all that. But Strand Larsen, it was an easy decision for him. I mean, not only had he wanted to leave last season, it's also a situation of I'm going to be relegated with Wolves, or I could be relegated with Palace.
Yeah, yeah,
Plus,
yeah.
obviously, he's probably getting paid a bit more.
Now
And
and yeah, and with Mateta not available, Nketiah injured, he basically walked into the first team.
oh
And
yeah,
I
no,
think
definitely,
yeah, and his
because
style will
Mateta,
befit them
yeah,
because
it was a
yeah,
no-brainer for him.
yeah, I agree. I hope he does well there though. Okay, bro. So let's just quickly run through the surprise of the week. What was the surprise this week for you?
What was my surprise of the week? Okay, so it doesn't surprise me, but it was a
Mhm.
surprise to everyone else, and I expected it. So I don't know if I should call it okay the surprise of the week, but not my surprise of the week. I mean, and it's 2 weeks in a row. My boy Ryan in Bournemouth.
Man, that was some goal, bro. Like
So
it, it,
I
it,
watched
it, it looked
Brazilian
like when
football
you're
today.
playing someone on FIFA, right?
Yeah,
Ultimate, when the person's Wi-Fi has a lag, and all the defenders are just hanging and just because I didn't understand whether there was like some kind of force that kind of
Force
made
you.
some players just disappear because the guy just walked into the nail like that was some good goal, man.
No, it's crazy because so watch him. I've watched him a bit in Brazilian football, and he's been
Mhm.
touted as the next Adriano. You remember how
Wow.
Adriano was strong,
Mhm.
built,
Yeah.
skillful, pro evo, 99% shot, 99%
Mhm.
power. So he can even play as a striker. So I don't know if you've noticed in our FPL, I had him last week. He was part of my team last week that I won the net competition with. And from the
Yeah.
once he signed for Bournemouth, I bought him in FPL because that boy
Straight up.
is a talent. It's crazy. And to me, it's crazy. It shows the power of the Premier League because people argue about, oh, Premier League is the best team, is the best league. Why shouldn't they be doing this and that? And I was like, you don't understand. It's the best mean in the sense that you still see maybe the best players in the whole world in
Mhm.
Real Madrid. Yeah. But then the player in, let me pick a random team, in Ibar or wherever it is, or one of,
Mm.
will be
You rather
terrible.
go to Bournemouth.
Premier League, yeah, because Kevin, Ryan, yeah, in the past years, those are the players that Real Madrid would buy, Barcelona would buy, and
Yeah,
then
Inter,
Inter,
this kind of.
Bournemouth. That guy is going to leave from Bournemouth. I don't know. I've forgotten how much they bought him, but that guy is going to be £100 million player. He's better
Obviously,
than his ceiling. I don't want to say
he
he's
had
better
as
than
a menus.
his ceiling is higher than Semenyo. Those kind of players. He's a beast. He's like he's. I mean, getting touted as the next Adriano is no mean feat, bro. No mean
Yeah,
feat.
yeah, and you should go to show how good Bournemouth's scouting network has been. You
Oh no 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 no!
lose
That doesn't show how good they are
Genghis.
starting. No no no! This one I won't attribute their scouting right of being good to him. Everybody knew about this boy. No, it's
Oh,
just
really?
who was willing to take a risk. Yeah, who was willing to take the risk. I say no, bro. He's been crazy. He's been crazy. Trust me. It's not
Oh,
their
I
starting
think
network. This one
maybe,
was
maybe,
they were
maybe,
willing to put the
let me
money
go
in
and
those
look at
guys'
his
like
stats in the
because
Brazilian league.
he's a young kid. The only issue is that they were willing to put the money that they were demanding.
Okay, yeah, but then again, they have the money to match.
Because just remember, he's only 19.
Oh, yeah, okay, so he has scored 20 goals in 57 games for Vasco da Gama. Wow, and he was like an
Yeah,
18-year-old when he
the
was
last
doing
last
this.
year he played 57 goals and scored 20. Sorry, played 57
7
games,
games and scored
scored
20
20 goals,
goals.
and you can see he has only like one assist. He's not looking to pass the ball.
Yeah, one assist. Wow,
He had only
interesting.
played one game this year. One goal, one game, two goals. Now he's played two games for Bournemouth. One goal, one assist.
So
The boy is a
imagine
beast. I'm
having
telling you.
Ryan and also having Krupi Jr., who is also another
Yep,
beast.
yep,
Krupi in Lorient last season,
yep,
22
yep.
goals.
No,
Well,
that boy. So he might be a surprise to most, but once he came to Bournemouth, I put him in my fantasy league last week and this week
no,
again.
yeah, good one, bro, good one. Okay, so let's look at the injury and suspension watch. Starting with the injuries, we have Udogi, Destiny of Spurs, Sadiki of Sunderland, Trossard of Arsenal, Hichan of Wolves, and Santos of Chelsea, and Kushan of Man City. So looking at these players, who do you think will affect their team the most?
Udogi, because Spurs don't have players already. Like they can't. I mean, so it's just. I mean, it's coupled with the Romero suspension for 4 games. Like, what's going on
Yeah,
there?
that was just silly, man.
Uh,
And
Guys,
Romero, if you
remember
know,
they wanted to bring in Andy Robertson now from Liverpool.
yeah,
They already
and
needed
it
cover.
fell through.
They already needed cover, and now Kusanov, it's a bit. I mean,
Ake
Ake
is back.
Ake is back, center back. Also, John Stones might be alive or dead. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
haven't seen
and
him in a while.
Diaz is also back too. So I think they
Diaz
can
will
they
be
can
back
manage.
soon. So yeah, that one is yeah. Sadiki, yes. Trossard, yes. Those are strong injuries to their teams. He Chanwanga, yeah. But Destiny Doge, the fact that they have no players, it's going to hit their
Yeah,
team. Yeah,
I
and in
agree.
suspensions as well. I mean, Stopper is just for 1 game now,
It's just one game, so he'll be back.
and it's in the middle of the week. Let him get a rest. Yeah, he'll be all right.
Yeah, and he just come
Romero's
back in the
4 games is
weekend.
ridiculous. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
that's a big one. And so talking about Romero, he has actually been in the news,
Yep.
tweeting about the team, giving all
About
those
the club
cryptic
not getting players. Yep, yep,
messages.
yep.
So it's looking like maybe he might even depart this summer. Who
Yeah,
knows?
and he's club captain.
Yeah, so that'll be a serious
You
saga
obviously
in
know
the hands
which
of
club is
France.
written all over him now.
I
Which
agree.
club in your mind is written all over him?
Chelsea.
No, Haba.
Romero.
European club, European
Okay,
club, European club.
and Real Madrid, of course.
How can Atletico Madrid is a tout now?
Oh yeah. He's an Agbero. He
You can
actually
see him at
worked well in
Atletico
Atletico.
fighting everybody and anybody. He's the most Atletico
Yeah.
Madrid player of Atletico Madrid players ever.
Yeah,
Oh my god!
I agree with you. No, and you basically fit right at home at Atletico, bro. I agree.
Bro, he will go there and be club captain, be there for the next 10 years.
Awesome. Okay, so let's look at the Premier League table. Looking at the bottom half, who do you think is going to come up to the top half anytime soon?
Anytime soon.
Yeah, maybe in the next 5 game weeks.
It's so funny because the team I was immediately going to point at have 3 losses on the bounce. Newcastle.
Ooh, and they're playing Spurs next. Interesting.
You see, both teams can't lose now. So Bournemouth are
Yeah,
playing Everton. I can see Bournemouth.
yeah.
How many
Bournemouth,
points
Bournemouth.
behind Everton are Bournemouth? So Bournemouth and Newcastle are the teams that jump out initially.
Yeah, so Bournemouth is 34. Everton is Fulham is 34 as well. Sunderland is
Sunderland is
36.
36. Everton is 37. Okay, well, next week, yeah, by the end of this week, because I think Bournemouth are going to beat Everton. And they will
Okay,
now
awesome.
be on 37 with a better goal difference than Everton, I think.
Awesome. So let's look at the predictions for next week. Looking at last game week, it was between Chobaz, Ebuka, and Chuck Vincent. You know, they actually did okay up until the Brighton Palace and of course the Liverpool Man City. I think they all messed their predictions here. But Chobaz had 4 correct, Ebuka had 5 correct, and Chuck V also had 5 correct. So let's see how you're going to do this week. So rounding up,
No. Chugby had it 6 correct. 6. Go back.
6.
Isn't that 6?
No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
6.
No,
Chugby,
Chuck B. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just 4.
5, 6. I'm confused.
No. This all these ones are wrong. I forgot to color it red. They're both wrong.
Which ones were wrong? Okay, the last 2.
Yeah, the last 2 because
Oh, okay, sorry. Oh, the last 2. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
they were today's games. I forgot to update it.
Okay.
Okay, bro. So let's cook with you. Let's see how good they're going to be this game week. Chelsea leads.
Chelsea leads 2-2.
Everton Bournemouth.
1-3.
Spurs Newcastle.
Ooh. 1-3 as well.
West Ham Man United.
0-2.
Aston Villa Brighton.
1-1.
Crystal Palace Burnley.
3-1. Or no, 3-0.
Man City Fulham.
This was the 5-4 game, right?
Yeah.
This last minute victory, Haaland 4-0.
Nottingham Forest Wolves.
Whoa. 2-0.
Sunderland Liverpool.
1-3.
Brentford Arsenal.
1-2.
Wolves Arsenal.
0-4.
Awesome. Okay, so in general, your take on game week 25.
So my take on the whole game week overall. Oh man, it was great. Leeds impressed me in that first game. They showed it was a 6-pointer, straight 6-pointer, and they were like, thou shall not pass. That was fantastic. Newcastle Brentford was a fun game to watch for everybody, the neutral, the fans, whoever. Sometimes I always tell people, a fun game is a fun game. I can lose a fun game and be like, man, I lost, but that was a fun game.
Yeah.
The ends of Liverpool's Man City, I have a sneaky feeling that undeserved scrappy win for Man City will now propel them on a run.
Yeah,
Because,
galvanize them, right?
injustice has a way of breeding things, because literally I can see, like, when they're talking of the Premier League years in a few years, I talk about this season, they're like, man, that Liverpool game, it's like, to be like the John Stones clearing the line ball against Liverpool that year. But because whether we like it or not, that was resilience. That was deep. If Arsenal did that, for example, like the Arsenal game versus Newcastle, where Arsenal scored the 2 late winners, that's what you want to see from teams that are trying to get where they're trying to get. Man United were solid and steady, which was interesting, but it was against 10 men for a lot of the game. So,
Yeah.
a depleted Spurs side as well. West Ham, look at Crescencio Somerville is on fire. Five
Yeah,
games in a row.
five goals on the bounce.
All gone.
Yeah.
Chelsea, Chelsea were Chelsea because, yes, it was 3-1, but two ridiculously stupid penalties to give away.
Man.
The
Okay.
push one, like,
yeah, the first one was bad enough by Doherty, but
yeah,
Mosquera's push, like at that level,
yeah,
so when I was watching the Premier League show, Ian Wright was so livid. He was like,
yeah, he said
the
he would have subbed
manager,
him
he
off
would sub the
immediately.
guy at halftime.
Yeah, so
That was pathetic,
that was
man.
crazy. So, are Chelsea good? Are they not? Are they not? I mean, they're good. They're fifth in the table. They must be good. But that result was a bit weird. But they won the game. And then again, to be fair, by the time you get those 3 penalties, I mean, if you're leading, you're cruising. You've got a game in the midweek. You've got a cup game next week. You got Champions League. Yeah, you're cruising. You're allowed to do your thing. Yeah, that was most of the stuff that was interesting. Crystal Palace. I mean,
Finally.
it was just 1-0, but they had a good game. They played well. They played well, and the Verbruggen had to make a crazy save to keep Strand Larsen from opening on his debut. So it's an interesting one. Yeah, the season. I mean, it was an interesting game week. It was fun. It was, my fantasy was fantastic. I got 90 something points, but didn't win any competitions because people have winches. Because I had Palmer and Captain
last week you had the winch, so it goes round.
No, yes, I say the same way I donated this week, so people should not be vexed when they donate.
Yeah, I've caught myself.
But no. This midweek is going to be quite interesting because there are some games that are going to move the table around a bit. Because if Aston Villa lose and Man United win, Man United will be ahead of Aston Villa.
Yeah, that'll be
awesome. And then little things like that. It'll be interesting.
All right, bro. Thank you so much for coming through as always.
No, thanks for having me.
On the
Always
channel,
a pleasure.
man.
We'll see you next week. Yeah. Nice one.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. See you on the next one. Until then, cheers, man.